So, guys, welcome to a wonderful session on app development roadmap. So, in today's session, I'll explain you like if you want to become an app developer, then what you should learn and how you should start the learning journey. So, you need to understand that what are all the apps you are going to develop. Those are of two types. One is the native apps, and second one is the cross-platform apps. So let's try to understand first what is a native app. A native app is an app which is specially designed for a particular platform, or we can say an operating system. So in native apps, you'll find Android as well as iOS. Whereas when it comes to cross-platform apps, or you can say hybrid apps sometime, then the same app, the same code will be used for Android as well as iOS. So many students are having doubt, sir, is it good to learn native apps or is it good to learn cross platform apps? So from this, you generally feel that building cross platform apps is best because once you develop an app, then the same app you can use it for both the platforms. But that's not good always. Why? Because native apps are more powerful when you compare with cross-platform apps. Why? Because you are using a particular technology which is specially designed for a particular platform or the operating system. So in native apps, what happens, like say for example, Zomato or Swiggy wants to develop an app. Then they are going to develop two apps separately for Android and iOS. So here what happens, they need to write the code separately for Android as well as separately for iOS. So here the cost is getting increased, but at the same time, the benefit what you get is you'll get the full potentiality of that particular platform. So all big tech giant companies generally prefer to go with native app. So the advantage of a native app is we can completely leverage the strength of that particular platform. But on the drawback side, if you go, then your cost will increase because you need to have two separate set of teams. One is for Android and second one is for iOS. But whereas if you develop a cross-platform app, means if you develop an app using cross-platform technology, then the same app will be used for Android as well as iOS. So here what happens, sometimes the app which is working fine on Android platform may have some glitches for iOS. Is it clear? Why? Because if there is any upgradation in the Android, and if you do changes in your app by focusing on that Android's updated version, then it may create issues with iOS. But whereas in native apps, we are going to develop the apps and we are going to do modifications on the apps as per the operating system upgradations. So which one to choose best? For my consideration, if you ask me, it's better to go with native apps. And in native apps, to develop applications for Android, to develop apps for Android, you can use Java or Kotlin. You can use any of the technology. And for iOS, earlier people used to work with Objective-C, but now people are focusing on shift programming. So for building iOS apps, you can use shift technology. And if you want to try app development, along with that, if you want to work with software development also, then working with Java technology is preferred. But if you want to exclusively, if you want to exclusively work for, if you want to exclusively work for only app development, then you can start with Kotlin also. So if you're a Java programmer, then just by putting 1 week of efforts, you can shift to Kotlin. And if you want to develop apps for iOS, then as I said, you can use Shift programming language. And to learn Java, it is always recommended to have the knowledge of C++. Without having knowledge of C++, you can learn Java. But if you learn C++ and then you learn Java, then the way you work with Java will be at the next level. And of course, before you work with C++, I always recommend every student to go with C programming language. And for cross-platform, you can use Flutter, which uses a programming language called Dart, or you can use React Native, for which the knowledge of JavaScript is required. And when it comes to Flutter and React Native, Flutter is developed by Google, React Native is developed by Facebook. So both are the good technologies for developing cross-platform apps. And when it comes to the operating system, then for native app development, for Android, it's always recommended. See, you can use like Windows, Linux, or Mac. But for Android, I personally recommend to use Windows and processor as i5, or if you have i7, that is more better. And 16 GB of RAM is preferred. Is it clear? Because we use Android Studio, which is very heavyweight ID, and it may slow down your machine. So these are the recommendations. And for Swift, means if you want to develop apps for iOS, then you can go with MacBook Air or Pro. And for cross-platform, you can use a Windows machine. So along with these technologies, you need to work with some other technologies also. Why? Because whatever you see on the screen is front end, but how in web application development, you need to work with front end and back end. In the same way, for app development also, you need to focus on front end as well as the back end also. So when it comes to back end, then you need to work with technology as well as database both. So when it comes to technology, you can prefer working with Node.js. Again, the knowledge of JavaScript is required. Or you can work with Flask. Here, the knowledge of Python is required. Or you can work with Spring. Here, the knowledge of Java is required. So to work with Spring, knowledge of Java. To work with Flask, knowledge of Python. And here, JavaScript. Okay. And along with it, you need to work with databases also. So databases, there are two types of databases available in the market. One is SQL database. Second one is NoSQL database. In SQL database, you need to work with SQL programming. You need to learn SQL commands. So you can work with either Oracle, MySQL, or SQL Server, or there are dozens of SQL databases are there in the market. But I'm just listing down the top three, like Oracle, MySQL, and SQL Server. And if it is NoSQL database, then you can work with either MongoDB or Firebase. You can use it. So this is when it comes to the database part, guys. And in Stack Overflow, there is a survey actually about the technology. So I'll show you the this is like, you can just type survey.stackoverflow.com go, and here on the right hand side, you can just choose this technology. Okay, and just scroll down. It will show you. See, this Stack Overflow has collected responses from 87,585 developers as on date. Okay, and from this, they have listed the programming languages which are used by those developers. So on the higher side, you have JavaScript. Remember, it is very, very important to learn JavaScript, because when it comes to web development, JavaScript plays very, very important role. And of course, knowledge of HTML and CSS is very important. Knowledge of Python is also very important. SQL, TypeScript, Java. So you can see here the percentage. Is it clear? And all the technologies which are used in the market, you can just see here clearly. Okay, and here this is about databases actually. Okay, so this is the list about the coders, like programming languages, you can say. And here you can see about database. So PostgreSQL, MySQL, SQLite, MongoDB, SQL Server. You can see here, somewhere you'll find Oracle here also. And here you can see cloud platforms. So like for cloud platforms, which technology is used more? So this is how you can understand, like in industry, which technology is having, like it's not about more demand, like more developers are working on that particular technology. You can see here Node.js is coming on top. Okay, so this is about the app development. And from this, finally, what you need to understand here is you must learn Java programming language if you want to begin your career in app development. Okay, and knowledge of only Java is not sufficient. Along with Java, you need to learn some other technologies also. This is for Android. If it is for iOS, then you have to work with Shift. And if it is for cross-platform, then you can work with Flutter or React Native. So that's it, guys, in this session. And let me know in the comments below this video that how you like this particular session and what kind of technologies you are looking for in future. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.